We've got another slight ramble video here, but I was at a place called Donut Fresh here in Milford, which is just a funny building because that place has really great breakfast sandwiches in my experience. I'm not as big a fan of their coffee, and I'm actually not that big of a fan of their donuts, though I know a lot of people like their donuts. But overall, people like stan that place. You know, they're a huge fan base for Donut Fresh. The building just looks so run down, and there's like Christmas lights on it, and the grounds are completely unkept, and the inside for a long time until very recently just had like storage space in it, which is all window front so you could see it. But yet, it's popping off, and it takes a unique kind of business to be able to pull it off. Like, everybody loves a good hole in the wall type place, but to actually execute a hole in the wall, I feel like is a unique thing. But anyways, really what it was that I was admiring in the parking lot was that they have a Planet Aid donation box. And I'm sure you've seen these everywhere. I think they operate nationally, if not maybe just New England. But I've always thought of them just sort of as like trash receptacles in terms of, for reasons that I previously could only infer. My parents always sort of were like, yeah, you don't donate there. You know, those places are like skeevy and they're not real donation boxes. And I've always just kind of taken that as the subconscious word. Did some looking into it, and it's kind of true, unsurprisingly, but it is even a little bit more interesting than that. They're a part of a larger international charitable organization called Humana People to People, and this is a company that was founded in Denmark in 1977, so it's been around for quite a while. How these work, as you I'm sure know, they're just boxes you go and put and donate clothes and things inside of them, and then presumably a truck comes and they take those clothes and they give them to the needy. But in a lot of ways, they're usually selling them to other countries, and that's not inherently a bad thing in terms of the concept, because they're being sold in markets or given to markets at a really low cost that then allows locals to sell, and it provides sort of a stimulus to their economy. And then there is a portion of the clothes that are presumably donated. But they have a terrible rating on Charity Watch because they've disputed Planet Aid's accounting and cost associated with it. They give them an F rating. Planet Aid's earnings is $33 million a year selling used clothes. And even though Planet Aid denies this, Charity Watch has audited their numbers. They spend only 25% of that overall budget on charitable programs, and the rest goes to operational costs, people's pay, possibly a CEO or an owner, and that is always a sign. There's another charity that has that reputation, and that's always the idea of charities, obviously, is they're usually rated on how much of the money that gets donated actually goes to the cause and how much of it just goes into people's pockets or just stakeholders in the organization. But what's even more interesting, an organization in Denmark called the Teachers Group, or TVIND, TVIND, and it's led by an international fugitive named Mogens Amid Petersen. This organization has been prosecuted in Denmark for financial crimes with 2 convictions in 2006 and 2009, and there are just a lot of allegations of them being a cult. Now, Planet Aid isn't directly underneath them, but they are owned by a parent company that is then owned by this political group, the Teachers Group, and there are also some direct members of this Teachers Group within the higher-ups of Planet Aid. And again, this is sort of like a known organizational chain through like the transitive properties that makes Planet Aid likely sort of a money laundering potential scam, which is not out of the question. There is a whole genre or category of nonprofit scams known as clothing scam companies, and they purport to collecting used goods, clothes for charities or be working for charitable causes when they in fact work for themselves, selling the clothes overseas and giving little, if anything, to charitable causes. That's likely what Planet Aid is. So nothing proven here. It's just some more interesting information as to like why I don't find a need to give Planet Aid my junk. That being said, I don't know if it's a morally irresponsible thing to do, any worse than just throwing your clothes in the trash in terms of, you as the person putting it in the box, because they're the ones who are being deceptive. And if you are just putting your stuff in there just to essentially get rid of it, again, I don't think that's worse than just throwing it in the garbage, personally. Even if they are giving it to third world countries for them to then sell, there's also evidence that hinders those communities from ever developing their own textile infrastructure and economy, which hurts them in the long run. So honestly, if anything, there might even be a moral issue with them if they actually did what they said, as opposed to just selling it or burning it. Like, the whole thing is already so morally milky that I don't think you need to feel bad about doing or not doing something through Planet Aid. That's just my personal opinion, but something I found interesting and wanted to do a little bit of looking into. So, bye.